Good day and welcome to another A Week at the Plot Monday segment. I've actually just done the July plot tour, which will be out on Wednesday the 14th of July, having been done today on Monday the 12th of July. And it's sort of set me thinking about how the plot is doing this year. And we say it every year, it seems. It's a strange year. It's a challenging year. Those are things that we seem to say year on year on year. And is it because things are getting more challenging or not? Are things getting more challenging? I think they are. I think they are. It looks as though we have blight on some of our tomatoes. This would be the earliest that we have ever had blight on our tomatoes. By far, by like 6 weeks, something like that. Noticed a bit yesterday on some of the oh dearie me, my brain this morning is really not working. Some of the Rose de Bairn that Vivi gave us, I noticed we've got some blight on there, potentially got some blight on there. I think it is blight. Nothing to do with Vivi, it's to do with this area. We believe that our next door plot holder down and also one away diagonally, that they have had some blight. I've been removing leaves, but clearly I haven't been removing them enough to give airflow through those tomatoes. So yeah, you know, tomatoes, we adore tomatoes, as you know, and they're a big part of our diet. What will we get this year? I don't know. If blight takes hold, then maybe... Anyway, let's not go there. The other thing with tomatoes is how late they are. So we've had such mixed weather this year. Last year we had cold weather, wet weather, dry weather from like April onwards. This year we've had really torrential downfalls regularly, and what that has also brought is colder air. So we haven't had the warmth. So our tomatoes, even though they're growing well despite potentially blight, they are not at, well, put it this way, we've got one tomato or a couple of tomatoes that are the size of a broad bean, let's say broad bean seed. This time last year, we had tomatoes that were bigger than golf balls. We had one that was maybe the size of a tennis ball. Not turning in colour yet, but the size was there. We had plenty of fruit on our tomatoes. We could see plenty of fruit on our tomatoes. At the moment, this year, we're hunting for the small tomatoes forming. They're so few and far between and so small. Other things as well. I mean, difference in things. The runner beans are way behind where they were in terms of harvest last year, but in terms of growth and flowers are at the same state. So has that cold weather that we've been having reduced the amount of pollinators that have been around to pollinate the runner bean plants, those Chassis Scarlet Emperor runner bean plants? I think there are fewer pollinators around. And I don't think, I noticed today for the first day that Chassis runner beans have been flowering for well over a fortnight now. And it's only this morning that I've noticed that there are some runner beans beginning to form. And I just think the wet weather, the damp weather, the cold weather has not brought out the pollinators that we need to be able to pollinate our beans yet, and other things, of course. When I look at the other beans, they're growing well now. I think the humidity is helping them. But again, they're not in flower like they were this time last year. It was an odd year for beans last year. It doesn't seem to be such an odd year for beans this year, though they do seem to be a good few weeks behind where they were last year. However, you then look at our carrots. Oh, there's another plane going over from Heathrow. I mean, it literally is today chucking them out. Literally, I say that about 10 times in the allotment tour. Anyway, carrots, parsnips, doing really well. You'll remember, you'll remember that last year our carrots did really poorly. We had hardly any carrots. That was partly down to Fenella using the raised bed as a bed and flattening the carrots. Our parsnips did okay, though the parsnips are growing better this year. The second sowing have not germinated, but the first sowing are doing really well. I think I'm going to sow something else rather than re-sowing parsnips. I'm going to re-sow something else into those gaps, maybe beetroot, maybe turnip, something like that. The 3 types of carrots that we've got doing really well, and I put my finger down below the soil and I can feel that there are carrots forming there. So a really mixed year. Our squash are doing, oh, I've got an itch, sorry. Our squash are doing pretty well now. Last year they were really struggling. This year they're doing well. Our Brussels sprouts are doing well. You'll see all this in the July allotment tour. But yeah, what a mixed year. What a different type of challenging year this year is, opposed to last year, and as opposed to the year before, and as opposed to the year before. And the weather doesn't help. We are in, at the moment, a yellow warning for torrential rain between an hour ago, 10 o'clock in the morning, and midnight this evening. Yet the skies when I came down here were absolutely blue and beautiful. Again, you'll see that in the allotment tour. As I sit here, the cloud is thickening up. It's still glorious sunshine out there, but the cloud is thickening up, and I can see that we are likely to get more rain, which will of course help the weeds to grow more, but it will also help our plants to grow more too. So yeah, you know what? Yeah, we say it every year. What an odd year, what a challenging year. And 2021 is continuing in that tradition. 2021 is another challenging year, another odd year, in, I think, quite different ways to 2020 was, and 2019 and 2018. I think when we go back to 2017, maybe 18 growing season, that was pretty normal. Or is that just rose-tinted spectacles? I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for this segment of A Week at the Plot. Thank you for joining me again. I'll put a link in this segment when it goes up on YouTube to our July tour so that you can see the images of things that I have been talking about. And I will see you again very soon for another segment of A Week at the Plot. Bye. Good day. Well, yesterday morning I might have been mulling about the weather forecast and the forecast for torrential rain that we had as a yellow weather warning. And actually around 4 o'clock last night or yesterday afternoon, the heavens opened and we got the most torrential rain that I think we have had for maybe about 8 or 10 years, something like that. Really horrendous. I think I was working at Canary Wharf the last time the rain was like that. So, yeah, coming down here today, that has obviously meant that I've had to empty out the gravel trays that we have that don't have holes in, which have been quite a few, because as we get into summer, I put out the gravel trays without holes in to try and maintain water for the plants that may sit in it. Of course, that means if we get torrential rain, they need emptying. And also, I watched this morning Vivi transplanting some of her parsnips. So that little carrot that we saw yesterday, or maybe it's actually on the July allotment tour. I think it's the July allotment tour. I decided to do a bit of Vivi Queen of the Gardens cultivation to see if that little carrot can be transplanted and grow on. So I'll put a link to Vivi's video about her transplanting her parsnips in here. Yeah. Having checked the tomatoes, I'm sure we've got blight. We've cut off the areas of blight, and in fact there seems to be blight across a number of plots on this site. So what we've agreed in this area is that we'll cut them all off and see how they then perform. So fingers crossed. But because of that, and because I was thinking of it anyway, I'm going to transplant the spare tomatoes in the polytunnel that we grew on from shoots. I'm going to plant them now into the polytunnel. These are tomatoes that we took as side shoots and put into water and then transplanted into pots, as you can see. Some roots at the bottom there. I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to squeeze them in here with the cucumbers and with the melons, the Babs Sugar Baby. Right, let me get on and do that. That's those tomatoes in, and fingers crossed. Mixed varieties, as I say, they were taken as side shoots and I didn't label them, as I took them out as side shoots and put them into water and then potted them on. So fingers crossed. I've given them a water. I'm going to leave it now for about 10 minutes, give them another water, and then I'm going to leave them for about half an hour and give them a further water, because this bed in here does get quite dry. And fingers crossed that if our tomatoes outside do succumb to blight, then these may grow and give us later harvests. Full stop. Fingers crossed. See you again soon. Bye. Good day. Though this is actually following on from the tomato planting out in the polytunnel, those side shoots that had rooted, because we're now Tuesday afternoon. And as you have seen, I have been picking soft fruits. So that's our third picking of strawberries from those troughs. It's our first picking of red gooseberries, which are, I have to say, fantastic. And it's our third picking of blueberries, though maybe I've snuck a few whilst I've been down here that haven't made their way home. And also when I'm picking the blueberries, and particularly when there's quite a lot to pick, because you need to pick the ripe ones, obviously, I do a good picking of the ripe ones and then pop them into a plastic bag. Not very pretty, but I do like plastic bags for taking things back. And then of course the plastic bag comes back here, so that plastic bag has most probably been used 50 times and will be used another 50 times. But yes, when I've done the big picking of blueberries, I then go back, after I put them into the bag, I go back to the blueberry bushes, and any that I hadn't found on my first picking, they end up in my tummy. So we will be having those, or we will be having half of those, I think, this evening with yogurt, and have the remaining half tomorrow evening with yogurt. And then there will be a further picking to do later on in the week. I still haven't picked the green gooseberries, and I think I will be doing that tomorrow, because I want to keep those for jam making, and I'm going to be putting those in the freezer. So I need to juggle a few things about in our freezer, because I'm not sure what room is in there at the moment. So yeah, I'll be picking those maybe later this week, or definitely later this week, because if I don't pick them, with all the rain that we've had, they will, I think, swell and burst. So I will be picking them. As I was picking the blueberries, I was wondering how they get picked commercially in commercial plantations of gooseberries. Maybe someone in America knows. Are they picked by hand, or is there a machine that sort of hoovers things up? Actually, it'd be good to know, particularly ecologically, because as you may know, many olive oils aren't actually vegan and potentially not vegetarian, because many of the olives are actually hoovered up with huge suction pumps from olives, and they do take anything else that is in there as well, potentially mice and birds. So we do need to be wary of that when we're buying our cheaper olive oils. But anyway, that's more for Earth's sake, and we'll most probably talk about that on another day. on a project at For Earth's Sake that I've mapped out some things we're going to be discussing on For Earth's Sake. Anyway, that's it for me today. As I say, it's Tuesday afternoon. I'm going to go home, make myself a cup of tea. I've got a couple of hours work still to do. It's just coming up till 4 o'clock. So that will give me a 6-ish finish time for my work today, having grabbed a couple of hours to come down here and do what I have done. So yeah, I will see you again very soon. Bye. Good day. We're at Aston Rowant again, and I've just noticed that within this bank here is wild raspberry. I just come in, can you see the leaf here, and then the tiny fruits? I've never noticed before. Look at that leaf. I've never noticed these before. That is obviously a bramble, but that there is wild raspberry, or at least if it's not a wild raspberry, it's a rewilded raspberry, and this is a whole bank of it intermingled with other things like brambles. But isn't that fabulous? A forager's paradise. Lovely. And it is a lovely day. We can just about hear the M40. Though birdsong is more prominent, really. I've now got my back to Aston Woods. Also got a little creature on one of my hairs on my arm. We were in this spot a year ago, and I wasn't sure what the crops were, but certainly this edging is all sort of wildlife edging, which is what a lot of British farmers are now being paid to manage. And then in the middle you can just see the top of rapeseed for rapeseed oil. And then right at the edge here are some other brassicas. Not quite sure what, but something. If I just turn around, lift that up, come in carefully. Oh, my finger. This is Aston Rowant. Actually, no, Aston Woods. Such dappled light today. And I need to catch Richard up. Oh no, he's only there, look. So far we've come that way from Aston Rowant, halfway through Aston Woods. I don't know what that creature is there, but look, little creature blown off. Richard's walking back, but I think I'm going to catch him up and then we'll carry on walking. Bye. Good day, but not a good day at all. Sad face. All of our outdoor tomatoes have succumbed to blight. Every single one of them. They've all come out. I've decided to take them all out. Some were really badly blighted. Others were certainly more than about, or the lesser ones were certainly more than about 5% blighted on stems. So I decided to take them all out. They've been chopped up. They've been put into black plastic sacks, and they're going to go into our green waste at home, our garden waste at home, which gets collected for us by the council. I mean, what a shame. You know, I was going to say it's devastating. It's when you look at the heat that is being seen in America at the moment, the people dying there, when you look at the floods that are going on in Germany and Belgium and other countries, when you see other things that are happening around the world, you know, in South Africa, in, you know, so many places, you know, famine at the moment in some other African countries. No, losing all of our outdoor tomatoes is not devastating. It is heartbreaking and disappointing, but it's not devastating. We've got the money in the bank to buy tomatoes, to buy decent tomatoes. And yeah, it's just disheartening and disappointing. It's the favourite, it's my and Richard's favourite crop to grow. And that first tomato of the year, each year, picked, well, for me, generally straight from the plant. For Richard, picked and then taken home and had as cheese and tomato on toast. It is just sublime. But you know what? We're not going to have that this year. We're not going to have the tomatoes to do our roasted pasta sauce this year. And you know what? Disappointing, yes, but c'est la vie. You know, that is how life goes. You have, you know, really, really good things, and then sometimes you get hit by really, really bad things. So I'm not going to cry over the tomatoes. I've had my moments of disappointment, frustration, maybe a little bit of anger. You know, to whom? I mean, you know, there's no point in being angry, is there? Because it's Mother Nature, and it's what we are doing as well that is changing Mother Nature. So there's no point in being angry, though I was a little bit angry. And now, what am I thinking? Well, I've taken down the canes on both this bed here and the one by the polytunnel. I'm thinking brassicas. I've got brassicas to go in, which are going to go into the poppy bed. But of course, there's no reason now they can't go into the bed at the side here. So I'm thinking of that. I'm thinking of sowing some more salad crops and potentially some fennel and beetroot and turnips in the bed by the polytunnel, because that's really good soil there. Everything needs a really good weed, and I'm going to get onto that tomorrow. I'm not going to do that today. But I just knew that if I came down tomorrow and saw the tomato frames up, I'd go, oh. So I thought, no, best get the tomatoes out today, best get them away from the plot today, and best get the frames down today. So that's what I've done. I'll pick up the bamboo tomorrow. I've just put it on the ground. That is not going to affect me tomorrow. Seeing the canes up wood, seeing them on the ground is not going to affect me. It's very hot here today, but I did want to get that job done. Having seen them first thing this morning at 7:30, I knew by end of day I wanted to have them out. I've looked at other people's plots, and there's been chat on WhatsApp and our Facebook group, and other people's tomatoes are succumbing in exactly the same way. Somebody did say about potatoes that they think they have blight on their potatoes, so I'm going to go and have a look at that shortly. I've checked our potatoes, and our new potatoes or our earlies rather, they look fine. The leaves are beginning to die back and the stems are beginning to die back, but that's the natural die back. And in fact, I haven't looked at our lates, but I think that they will be fine. So yeah, disappointment, yes. But you know what? Let's get those brassicas in shortly. Let's get some more salad sown. Let's get some beetroots and some turnips sown and some fennel as well. And who knows, you know, we may have further harvests of those before the end of the year. I certainly hope so. And yeah, carrots. Actually, I need to get the early potatoes out because I want to put the carrots in there. I've got to sow those by the end of July. So I'll most probably be getting on and doing that next week. Maybe the week after, actually. I think the week after. I'll do that in the very final days of July. But there we are. That's it for today. Yeah. What a disappointment. What a disappointment. But as I say, not a devastation. We all know what devastation is. We see it on the news, sadly, on a daily basis. And losing all of our outside tomatoes to blight is not devastating. Still got a home, still got Richard, still got friends, still got you. Not devastating. Anyway, see you soon. See you tomorrow? Yeah, I think I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be picking up the canes anyway, so you'll definitely see me tomorrow. Bye. Good day. It is a rather hot Sunday. 10 o'clock in the morning. It's already really, really warm. It's going to be one of the warmest days. In fact, they're saying it's going to be the warmest day of the year so far today. And today is the day that we're having that photo shoot for that European edition of an international magazine. So yeah, and I will need to be here for certainly the whole of the shoot, which looks as though it's going to go on till about 8 o'clock this evening. So it's going to be a long day. I brought sandwiches, I brought coffee, I brought cold drinks, I brought snacks. They'll be going to the local pub for lunch, so I'll take a break then and go and see Richard back home and fill up on more liquids, I am sure. But really, I'm just going to spend the time pottering on the plot today, picking up the bamboos, putting them away, weeding those plots where I took the tomatoes out, or the beds where I took the tomatoes out yesterday, and spraying my brassicas. Yeah, I've got, what's it called? Grazers, I think it is, brassica spray, which supposedly wards off the cabbage whites and things like that. So yeah, it's going to be a pottering and quiet day. So I'll be making sure that the shoot goes as smoothly as it can, fingers crossed, and doing things in between them doing things. So I will see you later on. I'll give you a quick shot of the beds now that I'm going to get on with. I think depending upon when my plot has its shots, I might actually take out the Mange 2 today. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And I'm doing it all under the wonderful red umbrella that I've got. I'll just be moving it around. It's got water in the base and is therefore relatively movable, which is great because that sun, even with this hat, is beating down. Hey ho. It's been a hot one. Just coming up to 6 o'clock. That's right. So we've been on the go since 9. And yeah, it's been a good day, but I've been doing things really slowly. So I've been around for the photo shoot, making sure that anything that they need or don't know or need an answer to, I can give that. So that's been going on all day. I think we've got about another 2 hours to go on the shoot, and hopefully there'll be a quick pack up and then they can go home. Something just popped, not quite sure what then. And I've been getting on with things here, things that in some cases I've been meaning to do for a while. There are certain things like our hawthorn that we planted at the back end of last year that's never germinated. So I've taken the compost out of that tray and put it on the ground. I have weeded the big tomato bed next to the shed, which of course is completely denuded of tomatoes now. I've thinned out some of the nettles by the compost bins and allowed more sun to get to the comfrey that's there. I have weeded the bed just in front of me here, in front of the polytunnel that the tomatoes were in. I planted up the only tomato that, well, we were given a tomato earlier this week, last week, and I'm going to put it into the polytunnel. So I did see one blighted tomato in the polytunnel. It was either blighted or it had sun scorch on it. I'm not sure which, but I decided to be cautious and take it out, and I'm going to replace that one I took out with the one that we were given. I've been doing some weeding, some clearing, removing bindweed, watering. Haven't wanted to do too much watering because I don't want the humidity on the plot to increase for the sake of the people who are going to be doing the photo shoot on it. So, you know, you don't want a humid plot when you're doing that. Though I do know they've been spraying the model with water to keep her cool, which is lovely. In fact, she was just in the most gorgeous black, I don't know, netting type dress with wonderful embroidered roses or flowers on it. It looked absolutely gorgeous, and I did say to her, "Oh, you look absolutely lovely." And she went, "Thank you." Oh dear. I mean, what a silly thing to say, but you know, there we are. That's me. So yeah, a few more hours to go, and people on the plot have been absolutely lovely. On the site have been absolutely lovely. Somebody's brought me a flask of ice cubes, which has been fantastic. Others have offered to go and get me something at the pub or to bring something back from home when they are coming back to the plot later or have been coming back to the plot later. So yeah, and it's just been a really good day. Quite a lot of the plot holders that have been down here have wanted to be involved. So we've had somebody strimming on a plot and somebody else weeding, and I was tending to my to Shaz's Scarlet Emperor runner beans. So we'll see if any of those get used. And there were other things as well. One of our beekeepers was filmed as well. So yeah, I think all in all, it's been a well received day at the plot, this event, this photo shoot. And you know, it's nice. It's nice to have something different, and yeah, it's something that people have been talking about, and that's great. And what's nice is also some people have been involved who aren't the usual people who get involved in things as well. So you know, that's great. That's great. So it seems to have given everyone a little fillip, which is lovely, lovely. So yeah, I'm going to sign off here. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm going to show you what I've done. What am I talking about? I want you to see the weeded tomato bed and the bed in front of me here. So let me just do that now, and then we'll say goodbye after that. So 24 hours ago, I was taking out the blighted tomatoes. And today I have been on my hands and knees and given this a really good weeding. I'm going to scatter chicken manure pellets on top before I go this evening, though I'm not going to water anything. It's still actually, you go down maybe 4 inches and there's quite a bit of moisture in there. So I'm going to be planting the brassicas deep and they'll get their roots into the moisture that is 4 inches down, because I'll be planting them. I guess they'll most probably be sitting about 6 inches deep from the bottom of the root to the ground level. That's what they'll be tomorrow. Yeah, I think it's going to be tomorrow. I'm also thinking, in fact, no, I've decided I'm going to take that green rope up. There's no need to have it in there now. The path has become pretty trodden down and it's quite clear that we have 2 beds on either side. So yes, tomorrow, fingers crossed, brassicas will be in here. I do need to level it off a bit before I do that though. Right, let's have a look at the bed by the polytunnel. So again, this has been given a really good weed. We do have cucumbers in the middle there. So we had 6 and 1 has been completely eaten. 1 has been eaten just to the ground and the other 4 are doing fine. So fingers crossed. I do need to level off that bed because I haven't done that as yet. I can see now it's not level, but I think this is going to be a bed for maybe more carrots or maybe salads. No, I think it would be better to have this as a bed of carrots actually. So yes, this is, or what? I don't know. We'll decide that in the coming weeks, because I do have the bed that the poppies are in, and I've also got the bed that the mange tout are in, and salads could be sown in there. But you know what? We'll find out when we find out. Right, I'm just going to sit down in the shade now, have a cooling cordial, and then plan a little bit more tidying in this last couple of hours that I have as the photo shoot continues. So that's it for another week at the plot, and what a changing week at the plot it's been. See you soon. Bye.